This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and you're listening to Catholic Inspiration, a podcast from my website at studyprayserve.com. These homilies, presentations, and retreats form part of my ministry as a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Superior. And now I invite you to open your hearts to some Catholic inspiration. As we explore the readings for the 22nd Sunday of the year, we start with the Gospel of Matthew. Now, this is the second part of what we heard last week. And Jesus had asked the disciples, who do they say the Son of Man is? Peter gets it right. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Peter gets his name, which means Petros, rock. He's going to be the foundation of the church, the authority to bind and loose, the power to carry it out. Here's the second part. Now, this is Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 to 27. Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. Then Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him. God forbid, Lord, no such thing shall ever happen to you. He turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me. You are thinking not as God does, but as human beings do. Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. What profit would there be for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? Or what can one give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in his Father's glory, and then he will repay all according to his conduct. So we've been riding the wave from last week. Peter, he's got authority, he's got power, he's got a new name. And then Jesus lets the hammer fall. Guys, I'm going to die. And then I'm going to rise. I got to believe they didn't understand any of that. But they got pretty clearly that he's going to be cruelly treated. He's going to be tortured. He's going to be killed. He's saying it. And that they understand that this is going to be awful. Something about rising 3 days later, but they focused and zeroed in on the going to be awful part. Peter says what's on his mind, because that's what Peter does, but he's speaking for the crowd. God forbid, Lord, no such thing shall ever happen. You shouldn't have to suffer. You shouldn't have to die. You shouldn't have to go through that terrible treatment. And then Jesus says, Get behind me, Satan. Just a few moments before, you're Peter, and on the rock I will build my church. And just that fast, Peter gets tempted. Peter gets tempted to turn away from the cross. Peter gets tempted to begin to move in a different direction, to try to look at things in a human fashion and not according to God's law, God's purpose, God's plan. And this is where then the intensity mounts. You want to be my disciple? Grab a cross. Now, we talk about crosses because we've got a lot of pretty ones that hang in art all around our houses. But those people had to look at real people dying on those crosses. They smelled the stench. They saw the torture. They saw how those poor, poor wretches had to carry the very instrument of their death sentence as they were mocked and ridiculed and lamented. And then they were nailed and hung out. A strong man could live 7 days on the wood. Can you imagine that kind of torture? That awful, awful hell. They saw it. And Jesus says, You want to follow me? Get ready. Because that's part of the journey. This is the heavy load. This is the serious part. This is where the Lord makes it clear that there's a price for following him. And so there's a real edge here, my friends. It needs to be understood. We can't just discount it. We can't gloss over it. To follow Jesus will demand the very essence of our lives. There will be a cost for our faith. The first reading gives us an example of that. This is taken from the book of the prophet Jeremiah. This is chapter 20, verses 7 to 9. You duped me, O Lord, and I let myself be duped. You were too strong for me, and you triumphed. All the day I am an object of laughter. Everyone mocks me. Whenever I speak, I must cry out. Violence and outrage is my message. The word of the Lord has brought me derision and reproach all the day. I say to myself, I will not mention him. I will speak in his name no more. But then it becomes like a fire burning in my heart, imprisoned in my bones. I grow weary holding it in. I cannot endure it. Here's Jeremiah. He's called by God. And the message he has to deliver is a tough one. And it's grinding him like you would grind wheat into flour. It's tough. He's being reproached. He's being derided. He's an object of laughter, derision, mockery, contempt, violence. Jeremiah will not have an easy life. But he's called to proclaim the message. And he does. It's burning within him. It's this awareness of the cost to be called by God. And in following God out of love, we make sacrifices. Those sacrifices show the price, sometimes the pain of what we believe in. It reveals the depth of our love for God. We have Psalm 63 here, and the response is, My soul is thirsting for you, O Lord my God. O God, you are my God whom I seek. For you my flesh pines, my soul thirsts, like the earth, parched, lifeless, and without water. Thus have I gazed toward you in the sanctuary to see your power and your glory. For your kindness is a greater good than life. My lips shall glorify you. Thus will I bless you while I live. Lifting up my hands, I will call upon your name. As with the riches of a banquet shall my soul be satisfied, and with exultant lips my mouth shall praise you. You are my help, and in the shadow of your wings I shout for joy. My soul clings fast to you. Your right hand upholds me. My soul is thirsting for you, O Lord my God. That our souls see God's goodness. We long to give praise and blessing to the Lord who sustains us, upholds us, strengthens us. It's a beautiful recognition that everything we have comes from God, and therefore it's out of gratitude that we operate and we live. Life is a gift given to us by the Almighty. And this psalm gives us a sense then that we thirst for the Lord. We long for the one who provides this gift of life. Finally, the second reading, very short. This is taken from Paul's letter to the Romans. This is chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. I urge you, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, your spiritual worship. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and pleasing and perfect. So this sense here of becoming a sacrifice, a living sacrifice, an offering that is holy and pleasing, even with our bodies, our lives, the totality of who we are. We make an offering. We make sacrifices out of love that God's glory might continue to be proclaimed. But then it takes it to a different level. Don't be conformed to this age, but rather be transformed. Renew our minds. Renew our hearts. That we discern God's will. We seek to carry out what is good and pleasing and perfect to God. So it's a real focus here that says the offering that we're going to make it something so uplifting, so spiritually fruitful, so blessed, that it really does stand in opposition to what the spirit of the age might say. It really does hold up a different vision, allowing people to see the life that comes when we live and offer our lives for God. These are intense readings. This gospel reading makes it very clear that there is a price tag to follow Jesus. Jeremiah had to go through that. The psalm gives us an insight into God's goodness and glory. It's worth it. And Paul's letter to the Romans is an exhortation. Now put it into practice. Live it. All your mind, all your heart, all your soul. live the faith at the very core of our being so that our lives will be changed and transformed into the likeness of Christ. God bless you all. This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catholic Inspiration. These homilies, podcasts, presentations, and retreats are part of my ministry. And folks, if you found it helpful, please feel free to share my podcast with someone you know and love in the hopes that it will help them in their journey of faith. And you can help me if you just go back to your podcast engine and write me a rating and a review. I keep all my listeners in my daily prayers, and I ask that you remember me in yours as well. God bless you, my friends.